Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. My name is That Therapy Guy Dave, and we got another good video we're going to dive into today. What we're talking about today is DBT, or dialectical behavioral therapy. As you can see from our screen above, we're going to talk about when emotions take over. Emphasis on what we're focused on today is this, y'all. Calm the body first, then we change and challenge the mind. DBT, here's its main focus. We regulate first and then we respond. When we incorporate skills to regulate the body, then we can proceed more mindfully. Here's the core principle, yo, as we continue on with this video. You don't solve emotional chaos with logic. You solve it with regulation. Once again, yo, my name is That Therapy Guy Dave. Let's go ahead and jump on in. All right, yo, we have some objectives with this group. That being, we have four we're really going to hone in on. First one, we have to go ahead and start from the bare bones, X's and O's. What exactly is DBT and what does it truly focus on? Secondly, we're going to learn why emotions feel so intense sometimes. But don't worry, y'all, don't worry. We're going to go ahead and dissect them together. Thirdly, speaking of dissecting, we're going to talk about three classic DBT skills that we can start using today and for the future. And lastly, y'all, I'm going to call it the reset plan. Hopefully, we can walk away with a personal reset plan with the skills mentioned in this video or skills you already use for those tougher moments. Remember, y'all, today is about building skills, not just understanding emotions, but building skills. While insight is helpful, skills are what changes the outcome. Last thing I'll say before we reflect, y'all, DBT is not about being perfect. It's about staying in control when things feel out of control. Take a few moments to reflect right here, yo. Which of these feels most important for you right here, right now, in your current moment? All right. Starting from the bottom up, creating a solid foundation. What exactly is DBT? As I said, y'all, it stands for dialectical behavioral therapy. DBT is all about managing emotions, not eliminating them. Again, we're human beings. We're going to have emotions. So I'm not trying to have us eliminate them. Rather, we are managing them. So here are the core four pillars DBT is going to mainly focus on: managing intense emotions, tolerating distress without making things worse. Thirdly, building healthy relationships with ourselves, the world, and other people, and also staying present in the moment. DBT is essentially skills for real life, not just insight, which is good, but skills for life. Speaking of insight, DBT teaches us what to do when emotions try to hijack our brain and take over our lives. Take a moment to reflect before we keep pushing on. Do you feel like you know what to do when emotions hit? Or do you tend to feel stuck during those intense moments? Now we're going to jump into emotions themselves. And remember, y'all, we're all human beings, so we're wired to have emotions. We're not eliminating them, but they do feel intense. Some of us experience emotions more intensely and for longer periods of time. So as we go on, y'all, I don't want us to view this as a character defect. This is simply being human. Speaking of being human, this can come from a plethora of different places, y'all. So let's tune in. I listed four, but maybe there's more. Maybe it's our biology. Maybe it's past experiences. Maybe it's trauma. Or maybe it's simple stress, overwhelm, and overload. Some nervous systems, I'll just say it, are just wired to feel some things more deeply and quickly. And if that's you, you're in the right spot. And also, our intensity has a history. It didn't just come out of nowhere. So give yourself some grace. And remember, y'all, the nervous system itself gets activated fast and then stays activated longer. Remember, y'all, we are not too much. We are not too emotional. Our system is just activated. Our system is overwhelmed. Intensity does not equal weakness or failure, y'all. It's simple activation. Take a moment to reflect. What emotions tend to feel the most intense for you? Name it, detain it. Name it, detain it. Now that we've named the emotions that we're going to go in and hone in on, we got to talk about what I like to refer to as the emotional hijack. As the name says, yo, this is essentially when emotions take over and logic gets lost. And also, reactions happen lightning fast, but regret usually follows right after. So when emotions do spike, thinking offline, reactions automatic, impulses stronger, and regret, as I said before, typically tends to follow at its heels. Remember, y'all, I said this before and I'll say it again. This is not a character defect, a character flaw. This is simply our nervous system reacting and responding. Our brain is just trying to protect us, although it's not always effective. Here's another principle I want us to hone in on. When emotions are high, logic is low. And without awareness, the emotion runs the show. Take a moment to reflect. What does an emotional hijack tend to look like for you? Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's start talking about some skills. Our first skill, classic DBT, the good old fashioned stop skill. The pause is what I'm going to focus in a moment here, is what truly separates reaction from response. And give yourself some grace. This takes practice, this takes time. The S stands for stop. Remember, y'all, this could simply be stop talking, stop moving, you fill in the blank. T, take a step back. Or if you want to go a step further, take a step back, take a breath. Even a few seconds can completely change the outcome. So after we've stopped, taken a step back and taken a breath, simply observe. Remember, name it to tame it. P, proceed mindfully. This stop skill, y'all, gives us just enough space to not make things worse. And as we said before, emotions tend to hijack situations without us ever knowing the better. So we're essentially going from feeling to reacting. Feeling to responding is where we want to go. The power that we're all looking for is in the pause. The power is in the pause, and you don't need a perfect response. You just need the pause. Take a moment to reflect. Which part of the stop skill do you think would be hardest for you to actually use? And how could you practice it with more intention? The second skill I simply just call calm the body. As I said before, when our body is activated, our thoughts will follow that. And your body has to feel safe before our mind can think clearly. This is our second skill, y'all. Now, I listed 4 skills here. It isn't an end all be all list, so do your homework, get to know yourself. And regulation is physical before it's mental. The first one is slow breathing. Again, this is just a couple deep breaths to pump the brakes and take that pause. Or maybe we need a little temperature change. Cold water splash, hot cup of tea, cold shower. Temperature is that pause we need. Also, grounding in general. I put 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is a classic way to ground ourselves in the moment. 5 things you see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can see, and 1 thing you can taste. Using our senses gives us a perfect way into our present moment. And the last thing could just be stepping away, y'all. Sometimes we just need to take a break. Take a break and allow ourselves to breathe. Remember, y'all, these allow our nervous system to shift out of danger mode. Pro tip, you don't always have to think your way to calm. Sometimes we get bogged down in that. Sometimes the skills we use have us stop and think. On the contrary, y'all, keep it simple. You can breathe your way to calm. Take a moment to reflect as we talked about calming the body. Which of these skills, as I listed, or something that you've done in the past, feels realistic for you to potentially use in a hard moment? And remember, y'all, practice makes progress because perfection simply does not exist. DBT skill number 3, we call it riding the wave. Emotions are typically going to follow a pretty typical pattern, y'all. Emotions rise, aggression, anger, depression, anxiety, and they're going to go ahead and peak. But eventually, just like waves, they will fall. And also, emotions feel permanent, but they are always temporary. And I'm here to tell you that. Urges also follow the same pattern. The urge to react is strongest at its peak. But as I said with peaks, they tend to fall, and they will fall. Remember, y'all, you don't have to act on every urge we feel. We need to learn how to ride it out. Take a moment to respond. What urge shows up for you when emotions tend to run high? Now we're on to radical acceptance, y'all. I'll go ahead and say this. Fighting reality often creates more suffering than the situation itself. Now, acceptance doesn't mean you like it. It simply means you're no longer stuck fighting it. And you can accept something and still want it to change. Resistance is what keeps us stuck, while acceptance allows us to put one foot in front of the other to keep us moving forward and keep us into healthy, positive change. Here's a little bit of insight with this, y'all. Pain will increase every time when we choose to fight reality. Take a moment to reflect when we talk about radical acceptance. What is something in your life you are currently resisting? And what would acceptance look like in that situation for you? All right, we've covered a good amount of skills in this video. Now let's talk about building our own personal reset plan. So I'm going to pitch something to you. Complete this. When I notice I'm overwhelmed, I will stop. Use a body-based skill like breathing, or give it time to pass as I ride the wave. Just to name a few examples here, y'all. And remember, you don't need to figure it all out in the moment. You just need to have a plan that we can fall back on. And pro tip, simple plans work better than complicated ones in stressful situations. Again, y'all, complexity tends to have us fumble. Simple works better. Here's the core principle, y'all, for this reset plan. You don't rise to the moment. You fall back on your training. And training takes consistency, not perfection, just consistency. Take a moment to reflect on this reset plan that I pitched to y'all. What is one step you can realistically commit to for the week, for the day, for the hour? We made it to another end of this video, y'all. So in our closing reflection, let's go ahead and pump the brakes, stop, and consider what we learned. Emotions are not the issue, y'all. Emotions are automatic, but our response can be intentional. Reacting without awareness is essentially what we're trying to better manage. And you don't need to have to eliminate all of our emotions, like I said in the beginning. You just need to have a better game plan for them. And skills turn overwhelming moments into manageable ones with steps. So DBT, as we laid out today, gives us space, control, and more importantly, options. A final reminder, y'all, as we went through this entire video, calm the body first, then change the mind. Last reflection prompt before we close out our video. What is one DBT skill you will actually try this week? And with that being said, I'd love to hear how it goes for you. Comment on the video, jot down how it went for you, and more importantly, share the knowledge. Once again, y'all, my name is That Therapy Guy Dave. It's a pleasure sharing skills with y'all. Looking forward to seeing you next time.